fonts. So if you start your resume with one font, let's say Times New Roman, that's the only one I can think of right now. You don't want to change halfway through to like Arial or anything of the sort. You want to have the same font for the entire resume. It's part of the branding. So choose wisely, but there's no correct choice or anything of the sort. You just want to make sure that it stays consistent. And because no one likes messy things. No one likes looking at something that doesn't go together. So that's one of the reasons why we do that. For the font sizes too, it's really important because it also creates this consistency. And sometimes if you make, for example, something bigger than something else, then it would be like as if you're highlighting it. And you don't want to necessarily do that. And then this is one of the most important really rules for resumes. I personally think it is. I used to be at a position where I got to help hire people sometimes. And one of the positions that we hired for was summer interns for a nonprofit tennis organization. And I once had a summer intern turn in a 5-page resume. I will not lie to you. I did not look at that entire resume. I was already, when she handed me that, I was like, no, 5 pages, like you're still in high school. There's absolutely no need why you would need to have 5 pages. Anything over 2 pages is unacceptable. Ideally, always aim for 1 page, but 2 pages is the perfect. That's enough. Don't ever go for 3 pages. There's no need for you to have 3 pages. If you currently have a 3-page resume, you need to look back at your resume and see what you can take out or what shouldn't be in there. So that is a really important one. Sorry, the question just popped up in the middle of my thing. Sorry, let me fix this real quick.
So for everyone who's here, you can go ahead and answer our polls down there. So yeah, please do. Thank you.
Yes, what Yana said. Please go answer the poll. Awesome. So next thing, one of the reasons why you tend to have like resumes that are like longer than 2 pages is because you're not using your space wisely. And if I can leave you with anything from this whole webinar, use your space wisely. Like your resume, you have 2 pages to highlight yourself, showcase yourself, and really make a case and sell yourself as the best employee possible for this specific job that you're applying to or for jobs out there. You're showcasing yourself. So do that properly and use your space wisely. You don't want big areas of like empty white like pages. It's not a good use of your space. So remember that your resume is reflecting the time that you put into it. If you have like a lot of negative space that you call it, which is like the big empty white spaces, a lot of negative space shows as if you like didn't finish your resume. It looks like you started typing and then it was like, oh, it was good enough, and then you submitted it. Does that make sense? Like you don't want to do that. You want to seem like you have put a lot of thought into your resume and you curated it specifically for these like hiring managers and recruiters to look at. Another thing is that your resume is a living, breathing thing. Now, this might sound really odd, but what that really means is that your resume should constantly, and with constantly, I don't mean like every day, but you should constantly put an effort into updating it and adding new things. Let's say you went and you won an award at like a local, I don't even know. For example, me, I work in the PR field a lot, and we have an organization called the PRSSA. If they had given us or me an award, I would right away add that to my resume. If you won an award of any sort, you would add that to your resume. Or if you start a new job, you add that to your resume. If you were promoted into a new position, you add that to your resume. Your resume should constantly be updated anytime there's something relevant that happens within like your professional life that would help you in the future on your job search. So you should definitely always make an effort to update it to be the most current version of your professional like life summary kind of thing. And then you should never, and this is a big, big, big one. You should never ever bend the truth, exaggerate, or bald-faced lie about anything. What does this mean? So that means, for example, let's say you were at a help desk, we're at IT help desk, right? Well, you're not going to put on your resume that you directed the whole technology department. That would be a lie. That would be exaggerating the truth. So you wouldn't put that on there. Why? Because it's always going to come and bite you. Never lie about anything of the sort. People have a way of finding out the truth. So if there's anything that you think that you shouldn't put on there, just don't. And don't stretch the truth. Another thing, I already said this, and I want to make a sub note on this. For the spelling and grammar are important. That's already something I said. You don't want your resume to look sloppy. So like your resume is basically like a version of you. It's showcasing you. You wouldn't show up to an interview, right, in sweatpants and a t-shirt that you've been wearing for like 2 days. You would go and you would dress up and you would be professional. The same thing goes for your resume. Your resume shouldn't be like in sweatpants and like an old t-shirt. So it should be in this nice suit. And that's the same thing with spelling and grammar. What I do want to note with the slang, so definitely don't use slang or abbreviations. What do you guys think is like the only exception for that though? Is there an exception even, you think? In my personal opinion, the only thing that's an exception is jargon, because jargon we use sometimes it's very specific to the industry that we work in. And for example, what would be like a good jargon? For example, this might not help a lot for if you're in the IT industry, but maybe Yana and Ivy, they definitely know what that is. So for example, in marketing, we have SEOs. That's something that's search engine optimizers. That's like jargon, and that's an abbreviation that everyone knows within our industry. So that's something you could put on your resume like that, because it's specific jargon relating to your job field. Now, slang, don't put that on there, and don't put any other abbreviations like LOL or LMAO or something of the sort. Don't put that on your resume. That's not going to look well. Again, think about your resume should be in the suit like you when you show up to the interview, not in sweatpants. So that is the only exception I would say though. Next. Now, this is important. Well, if you're applying to a job and you don't include your name, your city, your state, your phone number, your email, or your LinkedIn, how are you going to get the job? How are they going to ever contact you to actually schedule the resume? They're not going to be able to. You need to give them all the information in order to schedule you, first of all, to know if you're a right fit for the job, like the city and the state that you live in. That's important to know for the job location. Second of all, they need to have contact for you, phone or email or LinkedIn, in order to be able to schedule the interview. Or even like some things like a website or a personal blog to see like some of the things that you do and you highlight yourself. For example, I think actually one of the people that we have in our webinar right now, George, I think George has his own blog. So that would be something that he could include on his resume. I have my own blog. I actually include it in my portfolio at the end of my resume. So it is something that definitely, exactly. So George has one. So that's definitely something you should put on your resume, George. So if you don't include that information, how are they ever going to get in contact with you? So make sure that you have a section on your resume, preferably the header, where you put in your phone number, your email address, And this is a big side note. Make sure it is a professional email address. I don't have anything like, I think the craziest one I ever saw when I was looking at resumes is that someone submitted a resume that was something babygirl@gmail.com. Don't submit something like that. Put a very professional email address on there, something that has your name in the email address, so so that you don't really shoot yourself in the foot before you even get the opportunity, because people do care about that. They do care about if your email address is appropriate or not. So to recap, city, state, because sometimes cities are in more than one state. For example, I live in San Antonio, Texas, but there's a San Antonio, Chile, there's a San Antonio, Costa Rica, there's a San Antonio, all those places. So make sure that you include your state as well. Your phone number, one that you can actually be reached by, your email, an appropriate one. And if you don't have one, after you get done with this webinar, let this be your moment where you go and create yourself your first business email address. And then your LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really important. I think over 50% of people nowadays get their jobs through LinkedIn. I actually got my position at Yellowtail through LinkedIn. I applied for my job through LinkedIn. So, and then also your website or your blog, if it's related to tech, something of the sort, make sure that you include it. It's a great way to stand out from other candidates in the field. And then this one, as I said, make sure that your name's on it, because they're not going to know who to hire if your name's not on the resume. But what's really important too is that it should be bold and larger font than the rest of your information. You really want to make sure that they see your name. Like, this is the resume of, for example, here, Mark Taylor. You're looking at this, you can right away see, okay, Mark Taylor. That's how you want people to see your resume. You want them to be able to remember your name. Your name needs to stick out, and then it will be memorable. So I saw something. Okay, there was a question about that. Yes, it used to be that you should put like your full house address. Personally, what I've been taught over the last 3-4 years, it's shifted from putting your whole address to just city and state. There's sometimes with the hiring process where discrimination about like zip codes and stuff like that. So people have pivoted into just putting their city and state, and that's definitely good enough. That's perfect. And then this is also, don't make people put in extra work. People are lazy. I don't know if you guys are, how you guys, if you have a link someone gives you and it's not a hyperlink, would you put in the effort and go and put it into Google and then search it up and then finally find what you're actually looking for? Or would you be too bored and go to the next resume that actually has a link and just tap on it and it leads you right to where you want to be? Always think about what you would do in the situation if you were the hiring manager or the recruiter. That's like one of the key things that you can like kind of keep in the back of your head, is to just think as if they, like, what would they want to do? This one is just hyperlink your LinkedIn. That's one of the best ways and quickest ways to make sure that they'll actually go on your LinkedIn, and anything that you weren't able to highlight on your resume, since you only have those 2 pages, you can highlight on your LinkedIn. So you probably really want to redirect them there. So make sure that they have the access to do that. And then this is a must. As I said earlier, put the masthead information, which we were just talking about. That's your phone number, your email address, your city, your state. And what else am I missing? Who's paying attention? So I said phone, email, your city, your state, and then there's one missing. 2 things actually. LinkedIn, very good, very good. You're paying attention. I'm glad. So the LinkedIn, and then also your name, of course. You need to make sure that they have your name. So your name is another important one. And then the LinkedIn is important. So those are the things that are going to be in your header. Why do we do this? Well, it takes away room off of your resume. If you put this into the header, you now have like 2 full almost pages to do your resume. If you don't put it in the header, now you have half a page or a quarter of a page already missing from where you could have highlighted yourself. So put that in the header so that you can do the additional content as your work experience, your training experience, any like educational experience on the bottom, and you really can go in depth on those things. I hope that makes sense. So that means we get to go on to some other fun things. What are summaries versus objectives? So as you can see here, there's a little definition. An objective is what you want. A summary is what you can offer. Now, that might sound like, in theory, might sound really good, but do you guys think that you are actually effectively writing objectives versus summaries? Do you think that you have the understanding and your resume currently reflects that understanding? Do you guys have any objectives or summaries in your resumes right now? Like if you have any, leave them in the chat. If you have an objective right now, you can put a 1, and if you have a summary, you can put a 2. 2, you have a summary, okay. Awesome. Okay, a lot of summaries. Interesting. I actually have neither on my resume, so I actually have to confess that to you. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to stand here and preach about something and then not be honest with you. So that's really interesting. All of you guys have summaries. So the objective would be something like, for example, Linux system admin, looking for a remote position to do blank, blank, blank. A summary is what you're offering to the company. We're going to go over an example in a second. Those tend to be longer, and they're a great way to just give an overview of who you are as a professional and what you can bring to this company. I really like them, and I really like reading them too. So whenever I get to review resumes. So I definitely recommend having one of the others on your resume. Again, I know I'm being a hypocrite, but for you guys specifically also in technical roles, summaries are really, really great for people to highlight themselves apart from like your technical skills that you list later on in the resume. So passion is an important part of any job interview experience. This is your opportunity to show them how passionate you are. That's why I'm saying about like the summary. That's where you can write in, like you can use those adjectives. You can use those words like I am a passionate system admin who's looking for this, this, and this, or like I have this and this experience. You can really highlight why you got into the field. Even if you had a career switch, you can write, like, for example, I actually am a former elementary school teacher, and I know that we have some students in our program too that are similar to me, that were elementary school teachers, and then they switched into a different role. So for me, for example, I could write about how I had that passion, but I switched into the communications field. And similar with that, you can highlight how anywhere you came from, or like any like position you came from, and why even you decided to switch into tech. What made you passionate about this? That is like something that they're going to ask you in the interview anyway. And it's great if they already see that passion in you before you even get to the interview. So what did you decide, or why did you decide to get into tech in the first place? That could be how you answer your summary. Or, oh, there's another elementary school teacher. There's so many of us here at Yellowtail. That's so fun. Or how will you add value to the company? What skills do you bring to the specific job you're applying to? You can write that right away. Did you see, like, for example, in the job description, they said that, you know, they don't care about anything else as long as you have X, Y, and Z skill. Write that into the summary. Make it one of the first things. They said that they don't just want someone who's certified, but they also want someone who's passionate about, let's say, It's an ed tech company, just as we are. And they said they want someone who's passionate about education. Write in that you're a former educator who's passionate about education, but also decided to switch into tech. That's why you would like to combine your former interest and your new skill set in order to join this company. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions on that, put them in the chat. But basically, this is your place to highlight your passion beyond just being like beyond your certification, beyond your skills, beyond your training. What is your passion? Why are you in this field, and why are you the best candidate? That's what you can write into your summary. So this is an example. I'm going to read it out. I will preference that when I read out loud in English, my German accent sometimes comes out. So be kind with me, please. So our example 1 is solutions-focused customer service professional who is flexible and adaptable, offering 6 years of career experience, 3 of which were computer-based, providing me with general knowledge and ideas on handling any given situation, quickly learning and mastering new technology with ease while effortlessly adapting to new situations, equally successful in both team and self-directed settings, and proficient in a range of computer settings, tools, and testing methodologies. So, well, this is a hard question. Is this an objective or is this a summary? If it's a summary, you can put a 1. If it's an objective, put a 2. We'll see what team wins. Awesome. I see a lot of people paying attention. Awesome. Okay, so this is a summary. So an objective would have been, for example, solutions focused customer service professional looking for a adaptable work environment. That could have been another one. So I'm glad that you guys all got that. That was a summary. So this is basically, when we just read this together, you could basically put together this person's work experience and also their passions really quickly, or what kind of work environment they work in. On the bottom here, you can see that they work both great, equally successful in a team and a self-directed setting. So you can put even in there that you're a good team player or that you like working self-directed or something of the sort. This is basically a professional summary of who you are as a person, what experience you bring, but also like what work environments you like to work in and anything of the sort. This is another example. This one is, I'm just going to say Linux system admin, production support of various applications, including Sun Solaris. I'm not that technical, so you guys can't get on me for that. Red Hat Linux and Windows environments, experience developing tools for effective database setup, ensuring that the Linux environment is performing at its optimum level, comfortable managing system backups, and providing infrastructure support. So this one is a little bit different than the first example. Since the first example did give more of like a background also in what kind of work environments they like to work in, this one's just very technical based on everything that they can do. But really, your resume, I can't stress this enough, is it your resume? It's your showcase who you are. If you are more of a person that likes to like say what kind of work environment you like to work in, you're a very friendly person and passionate person, write the first one. If you're more of a technical person that wants to just like kind of like clock in and then do their thing and clock out, write the second one. There's no right or wrong. It's your resume. Just make sure that you do it professionally, you have good grammar, and it doesn't look sloppy. Remember, you want your resume to be in a suit, not in sweatpants. And so that was a summary part. We're going to move on to the skills. Now, for the skills, this is actually, I'm going to give you a little secret. For me, when I used to be responsible for help, like looking at resumes and helping hiring some people, the first thing I looked at was the skills. I honestly didn't care about anything else. And now this was not for technical roles, but I have talked to plenty of technical recruiters, and they have told me, yes, we do the same thing. So This section is incredibly important. This is probably either the first most important or second most important section on your resume. Skills, you have to be extremely thorough with what you're putting on here. Like, you can't just say you have technical skill. Like, don't just put on like computer skills. Like, you guys have most of you, if you don't already have the certificate, you're going to have a certificate. You guys have these like very detailed skills and like the languages you can code in and all of this, and which go a little bit above my head, not gonna lie to you. But these have to be very thorough. So for example, many companies use an ATS, which is an automated tracking system. That's where your resume goes through before it even is seen by a recruiter. That's one of the other reasons why the formatting tips that I was telling you guys are also important, because sometimes people don't even get it until the third or fourth round of your resume going through these automated tracking systems and pulling out specific keywords. So they're pulling specific keywords to be able to find people with these skills. So you want to make sure you have these keywords and very thorough skills that are detailed on job descriptions and also detailed on like just basically things that you do and are also on the job description. I would always say look at the job description when you have to like have these fairly specific skills. And this is your place to demonstrate your knowledge, you know? So in order to put it on your resume, you need to be able to demonstrate your knowledge. How is it used? When is it used? What does it do, etc. Best thing that I can do as an example is personally, I put on my resume that I am bilingual because my first language is German. If someone asks me to like, can you have a conversation with that person? I can demonstrate it. I can speak it. So if you were in a situation where you put something on your resume and if someone said, hey, go speak to that person, or hey, go try and run this application, go code in this language, and you can't do that, don't do that. Only put on there what you can actually demonstrate. If someone gave you like a knowledge quiz or something of the sort, those things should be on there. Anything else, don't include. Madge's job post, but I just said around like most of the people want at least 60% of the skills on the job posting to be within your resume. And that's what also happens with the automated tracking system. So make sure that you match the job post. This sometimes means that you might have 2, 3, 10 versions of your resume to match these specific job postings. But if it ends up with you being in the job that you love and that's perfect for you, isn't that worth it? I ask yourself that question. Is it worth it? I think it is. Personally, for me, I would be willing to put in that effort. So I think that you guys should think about that. And then also like just remember that one day you're going to be in that position that you really love because you put in the effort there. Last one, communication and communicate. My favorite field, that's the field I have a degree in. So the skills section gives recruiters a quick glimpse into what you know and what you'll be able to contribute. Keep in mind that you are not expected to know everything. Being able to learn is also a valuable skill. So is teamwork and communication. The top soft skills in right now, the top 3 soft skills that our employers are looking for are communications, teamwork, and also adaptability. So keep that in mind. I know you guys all work very technical and in the technical field, but keep in mind that you also want to have a small section. This doesn't have to be a lot for soft skills where you can list that you're a team player or you like to do teamwork. You have verbal communications, verbal communication skills, and maybe some other skills that are soft skills. You can Google like some of the top skills and just see which ones you have and pluck them into that section. So this is an example of some things. For example, what I was saying, the languages on there. So that applies to you as technical like professionals as well. If someone, for example, what I was saying with German, if someone came up to me and said, hey, go speak German to that person, the same thing applies to this right here. If someone said, hey, go use, I don't know, what's one of them? Python, I think. And you've never used it before, don't put it on your resume. You're not going to be able to do it. So only put it on there what you can actually do. This is one example how you can kind of group it. You see how there's these headers, for example, hardware, tools, networking, languages, all those things. Those are the headers. And then there's more details below everyone on what exactly you can do in those areas. Another way you could do it is right here, if my computer lets me. Another way you can do it is right here, where you can bold it and then do a colon and then just go more into detail. But you should have some kind of like title and then go into more detail with the specific skills you have relating to this. This is actually how I have the skills on my resume. I really like this format, but there's no correct format. So then when it comes to technical experience and projects, this is coupled with the skills section. They're the two most important sections on your resume, as I already said. So a lot of you guys will maybe have the skills section first. Some of you will maybe have your technical experience section first. There's no right or wrong. But since the majority of you do not have previous technical experience, use projects or our tickets at Procore Plus to provide the contents. The skills sections can tell them what you know. The experience section can tell them how you utilized it. So think of like the actual application of what you've learned, such as if you have a degree, how you actually used it, right? So that's kind of how the experience section, the experience section works. Show accomplishments when possible. What did the company save time, increase productivity, anything, etc. Now, a really, really important thing for the experience section is quantify when possible. It is a lot more impressive when you have some numbers on your resume than when you can say, oh, I did a few projects for, I don't know, this and that. No, how many did you do? Did you do 20? Did you do 30? Did you do 40? Anything of the sort. How much time, right here where it says, how much time did you save the company? Did you decrease some kind of process that was run in the company by 10% of time? Did you increase productivity by 20%? Anything of the sort. It can be an approximate too, but make sure we talked about being not lying. So make sure that it is something that actually was feasible, but when possible, quantify. People really like numbers. So show examples of not just what you did, but how you did it. How did you apply your knowledge? Why did you choose to do this process? Why did you want to do this in order to decrease time? What was your experience, your knowledge that no one else has that made you think of this solution? That's basically what examples should show. Be sure to reiterate the tech or technical skills in each task. So like put your skills into there. So reiterate the tech that you're using. Reiterate those keywords that they're looking for. Reiterate those keywords from the job description. Bullet points, not paragraphs. Bullet points make it easier for recruiters to scan the page. We are in a digital age where the average attention span is 6 seconds for something. Do not use paragraphs because people do not want to read paragraphs anymore. Would you spend the time to read the paragraph? Use bullet points, shorten it, make sure that it highlights specifically like those key things that you're trying to bring across. Your your experience can be arranged to suit your specific needs for any job application. So that means if you want to highlight for one job that you did this project at this company versus another application, you want to highlight a different project, rearrange it however you need to. This is your resume after all. Adding professional skills and other job-related skills are nice as well. For example, exceptional customer service, increased sales by 50% in 6 months period. Those things, like even if you didn't have that specifically in your role, you can still include that. That's still something that's impressive. And that these are some examples. So this is the first example. Remember, we said bullet points. So right here, if you look at this, you can see specifically like, okay, they troubleshot and diagnose malfunctions. Perfect. Okay, skimming to the next one if you were the recruiter. And it's those keywords. Make sure you also use those keywords at the beginning, like the troubleshoot, the replace, the worked, the deploy, maintain, install, manage, provide, perform, create. All those things are really, really important. Those are like those highlight those keywords. One good thing that you can do that I recommend is that you can Google Harvard resume. I think it's Harvard Career Center, something resume template. They have a list of over 200 words that you can use if you're struggling with like the synonyms and you've already used work and maintained 3 or 4 times. They break it down by those words and then give you like 2-3 synonyms and like 2-3 pages full of them. So that's a good resource if you ever need it. And I can feel free to like give you guys the link to that if I have to look it up first. But here again, you have the establish, the troubleshoot, the perform, the install, involve. You have the maintained user accounts, all those things. It's a really quick, easy to glance over and get the key knowledge that you need for everything. And see those highlights of like the exact technology that was used, like here OS and the Yum. I'm not familiar with that. So any of those things, like you can see that and the keywords that are popping out. For your work experience. Space permitting, we can include non-relevant work experience. So as we said, you don't want to have like those blank negative spaces. So if the space permits it, include some of the non-relevant work experience. It shows that you've been like a professional for longer and it gives you a little bit more leeway. If you don't have the room for it, just leave it off. I don't include that I was a teacher on my resume anymore, so you don't have to include it. Don't show years where you jump from job to job. Recruiters and a hiring manager want to show stability to them. So just if you had like a period where like every like 2-3 months you start a new job, just maybe like if that job's not relevant, maybe leave it off. You can show off transferable skills like customer service, communication, productivity, critical thinking. Any of those things, like if you used to be at an IT service desk and now you are a Linux system admin, there's plenty of transferable skills you have there. Like you can actually explain technology to other people. You have that communications aspect too. That's a great transferable skill that like other people might not have. So make sure that you include all of those as well. And then some jobs do not require bullet points explaining tasks unless you can show good accomplishments. Like for example, if you worked in like fast food, like you don't need to like show like any accomplishments unless you, I don't know, decreased like their time for something or whatever. But you don't need to necessarily include that. Keep formatting consistent. As I said before, you want to make sure that it doesn't look sloppy and put together within 5 minutes. You want to seem like you took time and you curated this and you actually put effort into making it what it was. So definitely stay consistent, especially within the tech experience section. Make sure that the font size is all the same, the font is the same. You're not like bolding things and italics and all those things. So make sure it's all staying consistent. This is an example again, right here. And see, this would also be relevant experience if you were part of the Geek Squad. This is a technical job in a sense. So education and certifications. So many will consider certifications, if not more important than degrees, especially in the tech field. This is very important. Most of the jobs out there, as I'm sure you guys know, you need a certification for. But do include all higher education. That does not mean high school. If you've been working for 5+ years and you've had jobs at like all these different companies, do not include your high school, especially if you have a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree or even a master's degree. So only a bachelor's or higher. So include, or even associates. You can put your associates on there, your bachelor's degree, your master's degree. If you have a bachelor's and a master's, you can put both of them on there, but do not include your high school on there. It just doesn't look good. And then if you went to college but didn't get a degree, you may still put it on there. Just make sure that you list the classes you took towards that job that you're applying for, like relevant, useful courses. And don't list it as you actually achieving a degree, because that would be lying and we don't want to do that. And it's the same format as the experience section. So for example, this would be for you coming to our program for the yellowtail.tech program. This is a way that you could list it, and you could list it in the education section. This would be another example. If you had gone to college and you got a bachelor's in cybersecurity and also went to our program, you could list both of those in the education section. And then additional information. If space permits, again, we want to stay within 2 pages. This is a good spot to show off your character. Additional skills like speaking multiple languages, like what I was mentioning earlier, or other tech skills like programming or graphics. Anything that's like relevant that makes you a more whole or more rounded professional would be great here. Even volunteer activities such as Habitat for Humanity, or maybe you were part of a club or something of the sort, and you had a leadership position or a part of a nonprofit board, something that like that would be relevant in that sense. Remember that your technical skills are only half of what gets you in the door. Your professional skills and character also play a major role. So you want to show off that you're not just a robot that can sit down and be on the computer from 9 to 5 and do your job. You also want to make sure that you have those people skills and that you come across as like a whole and rounded professional. And then you should definitely make sure that if you haven't already joined our program, you should make sure that, I think Yana or Ivy is going to add the link into the chat to enroll into one of our 10-minute intro calls with our enrollment advisor. So you should definitely book a 10-minute intro call with our enrollment advisors to learn a bit more about yellowtail.tech and how we could help you make sure that you have that extra that certification on your resume and have that help. And well, they'll tell you more about it. I don't know if Yana and Ivy have something to add about that. No?
No, that's it.
Okay, awesome. So that means we actually get to go to a really fun part. And so I don't know if you guys know this, but I want everyone to get ready to type. Don't put your answers in the chat yet, but person who can get these answers quickest, we're going to have a special surprise for. I don't want to tease it yet, but our first question is going to be this. For the overview, anything over blank pages is unacceptable ever, no matter what. 2. Okay, awesome. Okay, who is the first person? Okay, Gregory. Awesome. So Gregory just got himself a Starbucks gift card. I'm super excited. Okay, so now that you guys know how this works, we have 2 more opportunities to get another Starbucks gift card. Craig cheated. There are still 2 more chances. Just make sure, get ready to type, okay? This is the next one. Name should be in and font, then the rest of the info. Okay, we need both. We need both. There's two things. Okay, so I see that Dustin and Gregory answered, but they only had one of them. Sherman, very good. Bold and bigger, so or larger. So Sherman, second winner for the second Starbucks gift card. We have one more chance. Get ready, get typing. You guys got this. I believe in you. Awesome. Last one. Where should you put the masthead information? Ooh, I see you guys saying top, but there's a specific word. It's not just on the top. Dustin, very good. Dustin, he said it. The header of the page. Very good. So that was Dustin, Sherman, and Gregory, right?
Gregory, right.
Awesome. So congratulations to our 3 winners of the Starbucks gift card. Super excited. I'm so glad that you guys paid attention. That makes me so happy.
So Ivy will be reaching out to the 3 of you to send you guys for Starbucks gift cards. So congratulations again.
Congratulations. Super excited for you guys. And then without further ado, now it's your turn. If you have any questions, you can feel free to type them into the chat. Or even I think if you could like hop on, you can do that too, I think. But if you also have any other questions, my email's here. It's yellowtail.tech. And oh, you didn't notice my accent. Thank you. I keep being told I have one. I do have to say I was a bit nervous today. This is my first time hosting a webinar. So thank you guys for being patient with me. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. Otherwise, you can always reach me on either Slack or on my email, which is tyler@yellowtail.tech. And I'm super excited about it. I see that there's a question.
So
Rob needs to watch out.
Rob needs to watch out.
I will tell him that. I will tell him that he needs to watch out. Okay. I went to ask Rob if he knew anyone hiring for help desk. I'm trying to find a remote position while I will be in the Yellowtail program. So actually, I'd be a great bet. Like you can email me your resume. Since I'm the partnership coordinator, I'm actually the person that talks to the recruiters and I get them in for them to hire through us and our talent pool. So if you want to, you can send me your resume at that email address or from Slack or whatever. And I can see if I have anyone that is currently hiring for that. I do know a lot of people hiring. You have to be a bit more specific. Oh, that was regarding that other thing. Okay. And then, yeah, let me put it in the chat. And also, if you need this, let me also get this real quick. If, oh, how do I get back to that? Here it is. Also, if you need to reach out to me, that's also my LinkedIn. That's where I mostly talk to recruiters and I have them as part of my network there where I kind of facilitate that. So I have both of that in the chat then.
And you can invite them to our YTT
yes
network.
Let me get that. I did not think about that. Let me get that. We also have our a YTT community network, which I will also put the link in the chat. What it basically is a LinkedIn group where we have one recruiter part of it right now and a few people that are like outside person, but also our alumni. The goal is to add a lot of the recruiters that we work with inside that group so that they can post like jobs in there too and specifically pull from the talent pool there. And we also have people like, for example, David Pollock. He's a great person and resource when it comes to networking. He has his own nonprofit regarding networking for people that are Black within tech. It's called Code Black Tech. And he hosts Tuesday table talks, and he will post like his table talks within the community network. So it's a great place to join. And if you request to join, I'll make sure that like I accept your request with in today so that you guys can be part of it. For the, I don't know specifically how to say your name. I guess it's T. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. But for that question, I would recommend that you book your 10-minute call with an enrollment advisor. The way the Yana had shared the link, or Ivy? One of you guys
Yes,
shared the link?
Ivy shared the link. Yeah.
So Ivy shared the link above, and they'll be able to answer those questions there. Any other questions? No? Yana, are we good to stop?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, then thank you so much, everyone. Super excited to get to know you guys today, and thank you for joining. Thank you. I will see you guys hopefully sometime in the future.